What's going on, people? Welcome back to another episode of the FF Ball Busters podcast. Today is Monday, May 29th. My name is Will. Joining me is my co-host Eric. How you feeling today, Eric?
Feeling good, man. Excited to get into this one. I won't spoil it, even though I know you're about to say it right after me. But we're doing a video that we haven't done so far this off season, and I'm sure there's going to be plenty more coming down the road after this. So I'm hype. I hope you guys are too.
Hell yeah. As Eric alluded to, this is a video we haven't made before. We've done plenty of mock drafts where it's just rookies, but now we're finally doing a startup mock draft, the whole kit and caboodle. We're going to be going through, making some picks for you guys, explaining them to you, hopefully breaking them down so you understand it, and just making it a little bit more digestible for some of you newer fantasy players and some of you older fantasy players as well, just to see how the market is changing, stuff like that. So hopefully this can help you guys out. And without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into it. So the rules
Well,
that we got for this mock draft, as per usual, we're gonna explain that to you guys. We got a 12-team Superflex tight end premium for half an extra point per reception, and we're gonna be doing 10 rounds going through for 12 teams. So I've got the 103, Eric's got the 109, and we're gonna be making these picks not necessarily to fill out rosters. So we're not looking to complete actual teams. We're really looking to make picks for value, explain things that have changed since the offseason, since with the draft, stuff like that. So just here to kind of clear things up a little bit.
yeah, absolutely. And like Will said, so for roster construction, just so you guys understand what we're working with, we're doing quarterback, two running backs, three wide receivers, tight end, two flex, and a super flex. And like Will said, we don't necessarily have to fill out that entire starting roster with these 10 picks. We're just going to go, exactly how we would in a startup draft. Um, so yeah, I'm excited to get into it. Will, you ready to kick this thing off?
Yeah, ready to do it.
Bet. I will start it up.
Oh man, computer picked Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. That's a big shocker. Um, I'm gonna keep things surprising. I'm gonna go with Jalen Hurts. Just somebody who massively undervalued last season going into it. People didn't really trust his role, but now he's solidified as a top quarterback in the NFL for sure. Played an MVP level last year. No reason to believe he's not gonna keep doing so.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that pick at the 103. Then it goes Joe Burrow. Surprisingly, Jamar Chase at the 105, Justin Herbert, then Justin Jefferson, and Lamar Jackson right before me, who I was hoping would make it to me at the 109, but that's okay. I'm definitely still thinking quarterback here. Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence are still on the board. I'm going to take the rushing upside, and I do believe in Justin Fields' development as a passer, so I'm going to take Fields at the 109, and then real quickly pause. Oh,
One more. There we
pause it.
go.
There we go. All right. We finished the first round. It is only one round, so there's probably not a ton of takeaways, but we are going to talk about our biggest takeaways at the end of each of these. So I kind of mentioned it there with Jamar Chase going at the 105. I don't think that's something that you're typically going to see. But on that note, in a more realistic draft, how do you feel about these wide receivers and where they should go in relation to the top quarterbacks?
I think that it's tough to replace either of these two wide receivers with any other wide receiver in the league right now just because of how much they're valued in their teams. Obviously, the roles they have. Justin Jefferson, the Vikings told us over and over again, yeah, we're going to throw him the ball a lot, and they continued to do so last year. I don't see them not doing that going forward. And it's just when it comes to picking between these quarterbacks and these wide receivers, I don't really see too huge of a difference between the two, except that you're getting a wide receiver who's performing at an elite level. Hopefully, you're getting a quarterback as well that's performing at an elite level. But the difference between an elite wide receiver versus an elite quarterback and like maybe an average quarterback versus an elite wide receiver versus an average wide receiver, I feel like there's a bigger difference for a top end wide receiver versus a, I guess, mid tier quarter or mid tier wide receiver. I don't know. It's tough to explain, but I do like the value of these two guys. Obviously, they're young; they can play for years going forward. Same is going to be the same for these quarterbacks. So I don't really. What I'm saying is I don't see a huge difference in long term value.
Yeah, no, I can see that. I think if we're talking specific picks and players, I would be willing to take Jefferson. See, I have Lamar Jackson. I think we both have Lamar Jackson valued higher than Sleeper does right here. He's
Yes.
probably my QB4. But like right after like Jackson and Burrow is probably where I'd be comfortable taking Jefferson. Chase isn't too far behind, but I wouldn't mind him either, right after Jefferson or after this run of quarterbacks with like Herbert, Fields, and Lawrence is about what I'm thinking.
I will say I am surprised to see that the CPU picked McCaffrey at the end of the round and left people like Trevor
Yes.
Lawrence on the board. You
That's
know,
never going to happen.
yeah,
I guess I shouldn't say never. You never know, but that'd be wild.
yeah, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah. All right, let's resume the draft here. Keep things going. Trevor
There's
Lawrence
Trevor.
goes immediately,
Yeah,
followed by Jalen Waddle and AJ Brown. Not too much surprises so far in the second round. Jonathan Taylor is the best available according to Sleeper, but I'm not looking at running back just yet. Talking through strategy a little bit, I do typically like to go quarterback in these drafts
hmm
because it allows the most flexibility in terms of roster construction. You can kind of go whatever way you want. You can go more future forward for like a rebuild, or you can go ahead and compete now. Um,
it's also cheap
but
as you can get a quarterback in Superflex right now. It's the startup draft.
very true. That's a very good point. And yeah, with Bijan off the board, with some of these top receivers off the board, I think I probably will go back to the quarterback well. And maybe this is a shock to some people, but I think I'm going to go with Anthony Richardson here at the
Ooh,
2-4. Deshaun Watson's still on the board. He's in contention. Dak Prescott, Kyler Murray. But I think Anthony Richardson just barely edges out those guys for me.
nah, I like that. Take the upside pick. Let's see. All right, so we've got in the time that I've been off the board, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Brees Hall, Bryce Young, Jonathan Taylor, and Kenneth Walker all off the board. Kenneth Walker going this early is
That's crazy.
diabolical. So,
Yeah.
with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and pull the trigger as well. I'm gonna go with the quarterback too. I'm probably building my team in a little bit more of a, I guess, win now kind of way. I feel like, and I'm gonna go ahead and take another quarterback. Another one I believe is gonna perform at a high level right now. Hopefully, I'm gonna go with the tickler at this point.
Nah, I dig it. Oh,
Yeah,
I paused it too early again.
all good.
There we go.
All right.
Yeah, I think Deshaun Watson at the 210 is good value. Obviously, at the end of last season, we were a little bit worried about what we saw, but that was to be expected coming off
Yeah.
of 2 seasons of not playing football and not being able to practice with the team.
He was thrown
Hopefully,
in
we
when teams
see.
were quite literally in mid-season form, and he was at the beginning of the season essentially.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, no, I like that pick. That makes a lot of sense to me. We both start off QB. Um, and I think, again, like I alluded to, as far as strategy goes, this puts us both in a really nice situation where, even with Deshaun Watson, like he's still fairly young. You could go into rebuilding mode if you
hmm
wanted to take a lot of young guys, if you wanted to focus on picks or whatever the case may be. I could do the same with Fields and Richardson. But also, we're in a position where we can compete now if we wanted to. And I think that's a really important part. And my biggest takeaway from the second round is that you want to put yourself in a position to let the draft come to you and not be forced into situations that you might not necessarily want to be in.
Yeah.
All right, so let's resume this thing. Into the third round we go.
T. Higgins off the board. It's funny because I was actually looking at him for my next pick. Didn't think Sleeper was going to make the pick, but hey, we're here now. That makes things a little bit tougher for me because now I kind of do. I feel like with the players I'm looking at right here, I kind of do have to make a decision whether I want to try to do something now, try to wait till the future. So I'm actually going to go a little bit future forward. Might be a
Okay.
little bit of a reach, but I'm going to take Jameer Gibbs right here in the
Okay.
third
No,
round.
I don't mind it. I don't
Yeah.
mind it one bit. Especially with where we're at on the board. I think he's probably my RB4 at this point. Bijan being the RB1, and then Brees and Jonathan Taylor probably ahead of him.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that a lot in the third round.
Hell yeah.
Okay, so I'm back on the clock. Um, I have two quarterbacks already. Kyler Murray is sitting there, and I don't think that he should be sitting there all the way down here at the 3-9. For the sake of the video, I do want to incorporate a little bit of team building, so I'm not going to take another quarterback, but I do think he's a great value at the 3-9. Let's see here: Austin Eckler, Travis Etienne at running back, Jackson Smith and Jigba sitting there at the top of the receiver list, but Kyle Pitts
Mm-hmm.
is still here at the 3-9.
Mm-hmm.
I can't pass up on maybe the greatest tight end prospect in history. I know it hasn't worked out great so far, but I can't stop believing in this kid, so I'm going to take him here at 3-9.
Don't stop believing.
Okay, so we pause there. Yeah, what are your thoughts on Pitts? Do you think that's a good pick at the 3-9? Do you think I should have waited longer?
Being real with you, it's probably the same pick I would have made right there. Because, like,
Yeah.
at least just staring down the barrel, just looking at the top options, obviously, that were available in Sleeper at the time. You got the people who came off the board right after JSN, Josh Jacobs, Austin Eckler, who I feel like, are all pretty good players. They're all great players, really. We've seen them all perform at the top. You know what I'm saying? But Josh
Yeah.
Jacobs and Austin Eckler, obviously, with every single year, they're getting older. Every single year, their value is decreasing. So, makes sense. Kyle Pitts is the one dude that I've literally seen not really do much in the NFL, and his value has stayed exactly the same. And that's got to stand for something. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I do. I think it has decreased like since
I think
he
it's like
initially
very
came into the
slight.
league, the rookie draft.
It's
At least
very
looking at
slight.
like keep trade cut. Like
Yeah.
there's plenty of people who haven't stopped believing at all. Their value in terms of trading with those people specifically, like he's not declined, but yeah, keep trade cut. He's gone down slightly, but not by too much.
Yeah.
Um, Another thing that I do kind of want to mention, again, it depends on your league mates. Know your league mates. That's important for any league that you're in. But based on the way that this has gone so far with the Superflex draft, I would expect more quarterbacks to rip off the board through these first 3 rounds than there have been so far. So just keep that in mind. We're going based off of Sleeper's auto pick and ADP. But I would expect more quarterbacks to have been gone at this point in the draft.
Yeah, because even just taking a look at the board, there's still 3 teams without quarterbacks. You're not going to see that in the Superflex League, especially in the
Yeah,
fourth round.
that'd be pretty shocking. But let's keep this thing moving. Go to the 4th round. Travis Etienne, and there goes Kyler Murray and Mark Andrews, a guy that I was also considering at the 3-9. I wasn't sure whether to go with Pitts or Andrews, but I just love Kyle Pitts. So beginning of the 4th makes a lot of sense. I don't have any wide receivers on my team right now, and I typically like to build through my quarterbacks and through my receivers. And so I'll probably look that way. Tua is available. Again, I think he's a good value at the 4-4, but again, trying to do some team building, so I'm not going to take him here. I think what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to go with Devonta Smith. It's between him and Drake London for me. I'd like to hear your opinion on, just who you would choose between those two, but I think I'm going to go with Devonta Smith right here.
No, those are the exact 2 names I'm looking at as well, and I would have gone with Devonta Smith right there over Drake London. I do like Drake London as well. He's probably who I'm going to take right here with this pick. So I'm going to
Yeah, you made it.
Oh, shit. I almost hit the wrong person.
Woo-hoo.
Almost hit Najee. But yeah, Drake London, obviously very valued within, the Atlanta's offense. Obviously his volume went up when Kyle Pitts went down. So we're hoping that, the team just sees, he did play well. We've gotten good reports coming out of camp saying that Drake London's doing well. The team likes him a lot. Obviously, he's not going to be competing with Kyle Pitts too much to start out the season because he's still recovering, isn't he? Or do we have any idea about Kyle Pitts' timeline?
I think come training camp, he's going to be
He should be
back
good to
healthy
go.
and ready to go. I don't know that for sure. I haven't seen like the latest report, but
He got hurt
from
pretty
what
early on, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think he should be all right.
Yeah, and then between the 2 of them, I really don't see anybody else on this team that the ball is going to be going in the direction of, besides maybe Bijan, of course. Bijan will also
Bijan.
take some targets, but between these 2, they should be the 1 and 2 over there in Atlanta.
Yeah, absolutely. Drake London is an interesting kind of case of it really put into the test talent versus situation, because I think he's immensely talented, and people point to all the metrics about his target share within the team and how high it is. And obviously, you love to see that regardless of the situation. But we're talking about an offense that was pretty much devoid of weapons, especially once
Kyle Pitts
went down. It was really him and nobody else. Yeah, I like to value talent over situation by a smidge in Dynasty. But I went with Devonta Smith because I think he's just as talented and in a much better situation.
I like that.
All right, let's keep it rolling. I will resume the draft into the 5th round.
There's Najee off the board. All right, Najee and Tony Pollard go off the board. I'm taking a look. As Eric said, I do kind of like to try to build around wide receivers as well, especially young ones. Try to see how they develop because obviously the shelf life is there for a long time. So it's between 2 guys right here for me. I'm looking at Jordan Addison for the Minnesota Vikings. I'm looking at Quentin Johnston for the LA Chargers, right? I like Jordan Addison. I think he's going to be the number two in Minnesota. Well, not even think. I know he's going to be the number two in Minnesota.
Yeah.
The only difference is whether T.J. Hawkinson's going to get targeted more than him or not, and who knows. But he's definitely walking into a situation where he's looking at 85, 90 plus targets.
Hmm.
Quentin Johnston, he's walking into the Chargers, who are an elite offense as well. They've already got Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, of course, but he's going to fill out a role that neither of them do. They don't really have a tight end over there, to be honest with you, so I'm not really too concerned about that role taking up too many targets. Austin Eckler's back, so obviously he's going to take up some targets. So yeah, I'm going to take, in the meantime, the one that I see having the most upside right now, at least the least amount of target competition at the moment, but he's going to be playing with Justin Jefferson forever. And Quentin Johnston is going to be, Keenan Allen might going to be out of there soon. I'm going to go QJ.
I love it.
So you guys
Yeah.
saw my reasoning there in real time with how I was doing that.
Yeah. No, I think you went through that really well. The only thing that I would add is that, and I think I would have gone QJ as well. It's really close between those two. I think I'm starting to lean QJ at this point, for all the reasons that you mentioned, and also because what happens when Kirk Cousins leaves? Like he's currently, I think, 34,
Yeah, he's
and
old
they're a
ish.
competing team. They're not going to be they're not going to be in a situation next year, like when his contract runs out, to get a high draft pick and take a quarterback that can slot in and be productive right out of the gate, where Quentin Johnston is tied to Justin Herbert. So I'll take that in the long run. I think probably over the short term gain of this year and the lack of target competition for Jordan Addison.
Absolutely.
Um, so Jordan Addison is still on the board for my pick, but there's another guy that's on here that I've debated back and forth between these two guys quite a bit so far this offseason. I'm going to spice it up a little bit, and I think I'm going to go with Jerry Judy.
Ooh,
Um,
I like that.
Here, let me hit it and then make sure I pause this. Oh, I'm not going to be able to pause it in time. Shoot. Pause.
Oh. All right, we got one extra pick. It's all
That's
good.
okay. Whatever.
It's
Um,
only DJ Moore.
it's only DJ Moore. Jerry Judy in Denver. I think his situation is going to improve this year. Sean Payton comes in. I expect that to be a vast improvement from what we saw with Nathaniel Hackett. He seemed to be in over his head in terms of head coaching ability, play calling ability, the whole nine. He was really struggling. Russell Wilson was coming off of a down year in Seattle with the injury, a narrative that I'm not sure whether to buy into or not. But he had like his life coach slash best friend die in 2021, and like didn't have another kind of mentor that was like a big deal for him. This is what people have been saying on Twitter. Will's looking at me like that. Will's really looking at me like that.
I got no
So let
comment.
me pretend I didn't say that. How about that? Anyway, I still expect to bounce back for Russell Wilson as a player. He was, borderline Hall of Fame discussion prior to leaving Seattle, and now he gets paired with a surefire Hall of Famer head coach Sean Payton. I think it should be a match made in heaven. And Jerry Judy was fantastic to end the season last year. I believe over the last 6 weeks, he was like the wide receiver 2 overall. So I'm excited for his outlook coming into this year.
Hell yeah. I definitely agree. I mirror all those sentiments. I think also, I mean, if that is true, that whole life coach thing passing away, if that is true, I think Sean Payton is going to be an even better fit for this team because I think he's going to be able to do a lot of that for Russ himself as a head coach.
Yeah.
So,
Provide a little bit more stability than Hackett did, at least.
yeah, yeah.
All right, so let's resume this thing. Into the 6th round we go. DJ Moore, Daniel Jones, and Zach Charbonnet
Team
go off the
10
board.
still not picking a quarterback. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's wild. Team 10 really making a mockery of this whole thing. Also taking DeAndre Swift and Zach Charbonnet at the 5'10" and 6'3". Don't agree with either of those picks, but it is what it is. Who's still left on the board here? George Kittle. I already have a tight end. Trey Lance, Kirk Cousins, some guys that I would think about. But again, I want to focus a little bit more on team building for you guys. And I also think that those guys would probably be gone at this point.
I think I got a feeling who the pick is, possibly.
I think I know who I want it to be. So there's some running backs that are on the board that are interesting to me. Joe Mixon, I think, has been getting a little bit too much disrespect. He's not even really that old yet. How old is he? He is
Joe Mixon's
currently
like,
26.
yeah, 26. He's younger
Um,
than McCaffrey, I'm pretty sure.
yeah, yeah. He comes back to the Bengals, even though there was a lot of speculation this offseason that he wasn't going to be back. And now Samaje Perine is gone. They do bring in Chase Brown, but I expect his role to be pretty similar to what it was last year, and he was a top 10 running back last year. J.K. Dobbins is there. Um, but we're talking about running backs, short shelf lives. Um, I don't know that with Anthony Richardson and Kyle Pitts that I'm necessarily ready to compete this year immediately, and so I don't want to invest that type of capital into an aging running back or a running back that has dealt with quite a few injuries already throughout his career. So I'm going to go to the wide receiver pool once again, and I'm going to take Traylon Burks.
Yeah, I knew that was the pick.
You know me too well.
All right, in the meantime, we got Trey Lance, Dallas Goddard, Chris Godwin, George Kittle, Jamison Williams, the gambler, all flying off the board.
The gambler.
The gambler. So I'm taking a look to see what kind of a picks I'm looking to make. Again, like Eric said, outside of my quarterback position, I really don't know too much about how my team's going to shape out. So I'm really not in a win now mode as of right now. So I'm really am looking to build more. So I'm looking for younger assets. Same pretty much chain of thought that Eric's going through. I'm looking for younger assets that kind of have some high upside to them. I'm going to take a look at this. Ooh, I could stay in the young pool, but I don't really want to do that.
Who are we considering here? Talk us through it.
So I'm looking at wide receivers. The person I took a look at just now that I was like, ooh, I kind of want to, but I'm not going to. I was looking at Zay Flowers. I feel like I can get him later, though. He's not really somebody I need to prioritize right now. But I also feel like there's a lot of people in that same range of outcomes around Zay Flowers. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
Brandon Ayuk is there, Calvin Ridley's there, Marquise Brown's there. Those are three people I could see ending either higher or, around the same place as Zay Flowers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Looking at quarterbacks, there's not really much in the way of younger quarterbacks except for like Kenny Pickett right now. We got Will Levis down there. I'm not taking either of them. You got Jared Goff, who's not as old as people say he is. He's like 28, I believe. Russ is older. Kirk Cousins older. Gino older. Jordan Love is down there, but I don't really trust Jordan Love all too much. So I think I'm going to go back to the running back room. I'm going to go with the younger guy on this list. I'm going to go with J.K. Dobbins out of Baltimore.
Yeah, I dig it. Oh shoot! Pause.
Oh,
How many went? Did we already get back to your pick?
Yeah, we're back to me. It's all good, though.
Okay. Yeah, so I don't want to hate on J.K. Dobbins too much because I mentioned him at my pick and I said that I didn't want to take him. I do expect him to have a bounce back year this year.
Mm-hmm.
I think, the hype is rising on him and I think it's warranted. I think the entire Baltimore offense is probably going to take a step up with the new offensive coordinator and the new weapons that they've added. So I'm excited to see what he does. Are you worried at all about just the injury risk of the running back position since you talked about working towards the future? Or is it more so just he's young and he's going to fill out that running back spot for you for a few years?
He's somebody that's young. He can fill out that running back spot for me for a few years. And I also feel like if he performs, he's someone I could use as a trade asset later on as well. He's a name that everybody's familiar with, especially in home leagues. Everybody knows who J.K. Dobbins is. So if he just comes out there and performs a little bit, I could have a trade right there.
That's more than fair. And that's another situation where you want to know your league mates, whether you're in a league that's going to have a bunch of active traders. Because if you do know your league mates and you know that they're not going to be super active in that regard, I wouldn't take that type of strategy. And I know that's not the only reason you pick Dobbins, but just in general, in a startup, I wouldn't pick guys as trade pieces. But yeah, just another kind of strategy thing there. If you do know that people are willing to trade, then that makes a lot more sense to just take the best player available at value and then find a way to move on from them afterwards.
Yeah.
So let's keep it going into the 7th round. You are on the clock.
Back on the clock, baby. All right. So at this point, I'm still going to wait on the tight end position because I feel like, again, we got a lot of uncertainties over there. Obviously, the most certain thing that's left right now on the tight end board, we got Pat Freiermuth, who younger guy with the Steelers, going to perform most likely this year. Not going to break the world most likely, but he's going to do okay. Michael Mayer hasn't played an NFL snap yet. Dalton Kincaid hasn't played an NFL snap yet. And Darren Waller is what? He's 32?
I can check for you.
30, 32. So he's definitely
He's
on the older side.
he's only 30,
He's
but
30.
lots and lots of
Injuries,
injuries
lots of
throughout the
wear and
past few
tear.
seasons. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's tough for me to pick him, especially in the 7th round. So I'm not really looking at tight ends as of right this second. So I'm probably going to end up going back to the wide receiver pool. I know Zay Flowers is there. I know he's young, but me personally, I like Brandon Ayuk a lot. So I'm
Yes.
taking Brandon Ayuk in this spot. I feel like they fill out sort of similar roles in their offenses. Brandon Ayuk is probably even honestly, he's the best wide receiver in the 49ers offense right now.
Yeah.
Debo Samuel, he's a better football player all around. Obviously, he's a tough guy, can play the running back position as well, but the team hasn't needed him to do that. So Debo Samuel's value has really dropped off a lot because they didn't need him to run the ball. They have Christian McCaffrey now. But
Yeah.
Brandon Ayuk has steadily always been the wide receiver for that team. The team trusts him now. They didn't a couple years ago. I feel like that hurt a lot of his stock, but I feel like now he's kind of got that extra leash at this point.
Yeah, 100%. Love Brandon Ayuk, just the player in general, individually. I don't think the situation is as bad as people think. Like you alluded to, I do
Hmm.
think he's the receiver one. Maybe not, the best player that's technically listed as a receiver, but I think he's the first receiving option for that offense.
Yeah.
And with as many big names as they have on that team and the guys that they have under contract, the 49ers have already acknowledged that they might not be able to re-sign or extend Brandon Ayuk come either. I can't remember if it's this offseason or the following offseason, either as one year left or two.
It should be this
Um,
off season. Or
okay.
yeah.
But whatever the case may be there, he could be on the move shortly. And it can't make any projections this early on because we don't even know if he's going to be on the move. But I would hope that he goes to another offense with slightly less target competition and can be the one out there.
Hell yeah.
All right, so I'm back on the clock at the 7-9. What do we have available here? So again, I've said it a couple times. The quarterbacks are sliding too far. If you can get Jared Goff or Russell Wilson or Geno Smith in the 7th round, I'd be ecstatic about that. Um, and hopefully Team 10 finally picks one of them after my pick. But I'm not going to do that right here. Just to keep you guys in the know. Those guys shouldn't be on the board right now. The running back position is looking sketchy. Isaiah Pacheco, Cam Akers, Aaron Jones. I'm not really looking at that right now, even though I don't have any. I'm not willing to invest this type of capital in those guys. Calvin Ridley and Marquise Brown are both on the board. I like both of them a lot. Um, Deciding between them is kind of difficult. Calvin Ridley, I believe, is 28. Marquise Brown, I think, as of right now, is 25. We just got the news that DeAndre Hopkins is on the move, no longer in Arizona. So Marquise Brown has that wide receiver one role locked up, at least for now. Would not be shocked if Marvin Harrison Jr. comes rolling into town for Arizona after next year's draft.
Comes flying in.
Um, I like Calvin Ridley a lot, but again, with my team construction right now, I'm not ready to win a championship this year. So I think I am going to go with the younger asset. It's kind of a tie between those two, and so I'll let age be the tiebreaker here.
Okay. No, I like that a lot. Also, like you said, a lot of real estate up for him with DeAndre Hopkins being gone. So I like that.
Yeah.
And there's Jared Goff.
Team 10 still without a quarterback. Come on now, bro. This is crazy.
Are we going to get through the whole draft and they're not going to pick one?
We'll see. We'll see. Drop down in the comments what you think of Team 10 so far. They're going wild.
Hey, Team 8, not too far behind. No, they're good. It was Team 7. Only quarterback they got is Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, true. That's also rough. I don't have a lot left to say. There's one person that was on the board that I thought you might consider at your 7th pick, but I know that you love Ayuk, and so that makes a lot of sense. I'm wondering if he's going to make it back to you. I won't mention it until he's taken. We'll see what happens here.
Okay, interesting.
We'll resume the draft. 2 tight ends rip off the board in succession. Pat Freiermuth, Michael Mayer, then Will Levis goes. So, this is actually the situation where I might consider in a half point tight end premium. Do I make this pick?
Do it.
Nah, So you don't have a tight end yet, and I'm not doing this for you. But there's some quarterbacks left on the board, and at this point, with me being not necessarily in rebuild mode, but just like stocking up for the future, being ready to compete next year versus this year, I don't need to have running backs. We already mentioned at the top of the video, we don't need to fill out our entire roster. So what I would do, and what I've been avoiding doing for the longest, but I can't avoid it anymore, is taking one of these quarterbacks. I am going to take Russell Wilson at the 8-5, even if he ends up being a trade piece for me. I do think he's going to be a bounce back guy and worth a lot more, halfway through the season.
I like it. I like that. I think he's going to bounce back in a major way this year. At least that's what I'm hoping for, to be honest with you. D Hop
Right.
off
The
the
guy I was
board.
thinking about did make it to you. I wonder if you're thinking about the same person or not. We'll see. We'll
The
see.
guy that you were thinking about made it to me. That's interesting. I don't know who you're talking about, to be honest with you. Who are you talking about?
Do you want me to tell you, or do you want me to let you go through this?
I'm wondering. Nah, who are you thinking of? Who are you thinking of?
Dalton Kincaid, bro.
Nah, that is who I was looking at. I'm not gonna lie
Yeah,
to
okay.
you.
Dalton Kincaid is my tight end 6 in Dynasty right now. Some people might say that's too high, but I think getting him in the 8th round would be fantastic value.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at him right now. Someone else I was looking at on possibly getting later. Obviously, my boy Mr. Laporta. So I've been stuck between whether
Mm-hmm.
I want to take Dalton Kincaid now if he comes to me or wait on Sam Laporta. So that's something I've
That's
been
fair.
thinking of right there.
No, that makes sense.
But if I do have the opportunity to get him, I don't have a tight end right now. I'm gonna go with Mr. Kincaid. It's
All
tough to
right.
not want a guy who's being like propped up as a tight end that could possibly be playing slot receiver,
Yeah.
especially in tight end premium. It's tough. It's tough to not want that on your team.
Yeah, I even considered him at the 8-4. I'll take the quarterback value over the tight end value there, but honestly, like it wouldn't be out of the question for him within the first few years of his career to be startable in a flex position for me,
Yeah,
with the half point tight end premium. Like he might be better than the wide receiver threes, fours, whatever that would be available in that range.
I could 100% see that. I think he's gonna go out there and perform.
Yeah.
And then taking a look at this spot, I'm going to go with Mr. James Cook. I'm going back to the running back well, get
Ooh,
another
okay.
young guy on the team, another young high upside guy. Hoping for the best there. Not too much competition at running back in Buffalo. They got, besides Damian Harris, of course, they brought him in, but I'm not super
Yeah.
worried about Damian Harris, to be honest with you.
I mean, I think Damian Harris is going to be pretty heavily involved, but also
Not
I
at the
don't.
things that James Cook is good at, though.
Yes, absolutely, and like I guess if they hadn't brought in anybody as like a kind of bigger back, like they would have been forced to give the ball to James Cook more. But I think the team understands what they have in James Cook,
Hmm.
and that he's more of a super like hyper efficient but like limited touch type back. Like he's probably not going to get more than 12 touches a game,
Hmm.
and I think that's what he's designed for. So I don't mind that at all. Um, what is left? So Geno Smith still on the board again. Quarterback value is lasting way too long, but I won't take quarterback again. Um, I'm not going to go back to the tight end pool. Although I do like Sam Laporta. I already have Kyle Pitts, and I don't love the rest of the names there. The two positions I'm looking at are running back and wide receiver. Rashad Bateman is still sitting there at the wide
Hmm.
receiver pool, and I think he's probably my favorite of the guys left available. And then at the running back position, there's two guys that I'm looking at in James Conner and Tank Bigsby. James Conner on the older side, more injury prone. If I was looking to compete now, I think he might be the pick for me. But again, I'm not quite in that mode, so I'm not going to put that kind of capital in somebody that's not going to last very long. Tank Bigsby is somebody that I'd consider, but I think I would take Bateman over Bigsby, so that's what I'm going to do here at the 9-9.
I like that pick, especially this late in the draft. I feel like it's a great value.
Yeah, I've been surprised with how long that he's lasted. I understand that OBJ comes in, Zay Jones gets drafted, so there is a lot of target competition. Mark Andrews is still the number one target there, but I think that Bateman is the wide receiver one.
Mm-hmm.
of the group. I think that he'll establish himself as that. I think Lamar even came out and said that for what it's worth. Who he might just be saying that
I
to hype
mean,
up his boy or whatever. But
he's obviously got, besides Mark Andrews, he's got the most chemistry out of any of these receivers on the team with Lamar Jackson as well. So that makes sense.
yeah. And like I alluded to earlier when talking about this Ravens offense, they bring in Todd Monken as the offensive coordinator. I expect a significantly higher pass volume than we've seen from the Ravens in years past. And so I think that'll mean good things for Rashad Bateman. We get to the last round of what we're doing for this mock draft. I have all my positions filled out, but I don't have any running backs. Not that I necessarily have to take one here, but I think I am going to look that direction because Tank Bigsby, like I mentioned at my last pick, is still on the board here. And so I think that's probably where I'm going to go.
I like that. I think Tank's gonna have a bigger role in that offense than people are giving him credit for.
Yeah, I agree.
Actually, people might even be giving him credit for it. I've seen a lot of ETN people scared about what's gonna happen to him. So I think people are starting to give him the credit he's supposed to have right there.
It seems like it's been a Twitter battle as
Yeah.
of late. The ETN truthers saying, "Nah, this is his backfield. He's got it locked up," and then not even necessarily ETN haters. I guess I've seen some of those too, but people that might just be a little bit more realistic and realize that Tank Bigsby fills roles that Travis Etienne didn't fill last year.
Yeah, it's just people saying, "Hey guys, like they did kind of draft another guy. I don't think they drafted him to sit on the bench, you know." But
Yeah, yeah,
okay. So taking a look at this spot, 10th round. My team is pretty well rounded in terms of position, so there's no real position I really need. So at this point, it's kind of one of those go and get your guys, go and who you think fills out a spot on your team. And with that being said, I'm gonna do it. It's the 10th round. I'm gonna take Sam Laporta at this point. The two
hell yeah.
people valued higher than him right now are Jordan Love and Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, we don't know how long he's gonna play in the league. Jordan
Yeah.
Love, pretty much the same. So, so I'm gonna go with Sam Laporta here, tight end premium. Also, I just love him as a prospect. And
Yeah,
then two more
he's your
tight ends
boy.
fire off right after, so it's probably a good thing. He would have been gone right there.
Yeah, very, very interesting. So that will round out our 10 round startup mock. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let's rattle off our teams once again for the people. I had Justin Fields at quarterback. I did take one running back in Tank Bigsby, wide receiver core of Devonta Smith, Jerry Jeudy, Traylon Burks, Marquise Brown, and Rashad Bateman. Kyle Pitts at my tight end spot, Anthony Richardson at my super flex, and I do have Russell Wilson on the bench.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. And then from my team over here at the quarterback spot, I've got Jalen Hurts and Deshaun Watson. Bringing up at running back, I've got Jameer Gibbs, J.K. Dobbins, and James Cook. At the wide receiver spot, I've got Drake London, Quentin Johnston, and Brandon Ayuk. And then at tight end, I have Dalton Kincaid and Sam Laporta as some options. So all in all, I'm pretty happy with that team too.
Yeah, I think both of our teams shaped out pretty nicely. Obviously, we took a similar approach. Not necessarily punting year one because I think we will be somewhat competitive, but also not ready to go for the championship immediately. So, with all of that being said, let us know down in the comments below what you thought of this startup as a whole, maybe whose team you prefer, which strategy you liked, anything of that sort, what you would have done differently. Let us know all that stuff. Also, in the description below, you will see a link to our Discord. That would be very much appreciated. It would be awesome if you could join our Discord. We are starting to build a community over there. It's been really exciting, really fun to be part of. We got a great group of people in there that are constantly talking every single day, talking to us, talking amongst themselves as far as what they're doing in their startups, trades, getting all sorts of advice all across the board. So it would mean a lot if you could join our community. That would be very cool. But yeah, Will, you got anything else for the people before we get out of here?
Absolutely. This was a longer video, so I just want to make sure we said this at the end. Huge thanks to all of our sponsors over at Dynasty Owner, over at the Fantasy League winners, and in conjunction with that, Underdog Fantasy, and also over there with Do Numbers. So make sure you guys check out those links down in the description below, get you guys some neat deals, and just some cool stuff all around. So make sure you guys check those out. And make sure you guys do all that great YouTube stuff. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. That way you know every time we drop our newest videos. Hit that like button, comment. It's the best way to support us and get our stuff out there. It's absolutely free. So take the time, ask some questions. We will answer every single question that's down in the comments below. Yeah, other than that, just be a part of the community. And if you made it this far into the video, as always, we love you. and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
Peace.